Welcome back, students that are watching the videos. Today we are working on, we're skipping actually up a little bit. We're going to lesson 26. It's session 1, it's on page 535. We are moving into talking about fractions and decimals and how they're related. So, our standard, our learning target today is, for the rest of this week and part of next week, is use decimal notation for fractions with denominators 10 or 100. Does anybody know what that means? You don't learn. Decimals are the numbers that come after the decimal point in a number. So if you see 100.96, the 96 is the decimal. Does that make sense? It'd be 96.
So the last number is after the decimal is...
Our decimal numbers, the decimal points. So our lesson is, let's look, see how we did on it before. That's on. Alright, let's find it. So we got explain why a fraction is equivalent. Compare two fractions. Understand addition, subtraction, decompose a fraction, and subtract mixed numbers. Solve word problems. Understand the multiple. Solve word problems. Express a fraction with denominator. Answer fraction. Add decimal. The user here. This is ours. So in our class, we had 0 people. Green check mark this standard. We had 2 people. Clear check mark it. And we had 17 exit. So we need to be working on Miss Miracle's class. We had 0 check green, 0 clear, 18 miss it. So, not good. We need to make sure we're working on that way more, right?
Sorry, 2.
So we're going to be working on this way more. So that's what we're going to really focus on this next lesson. Slideshow from current slide. What the heck? Thing. So, relating decimals and fractions. So we're going to shade 7 columns on a 100th mile. Remember, a 100th mile is a bar mile that's shade drawn into 100 pieces, right? It's a lot of pieces, right? So it'd be a 10 by 10, right? If you shaded in 7 columns of it, what would your fraction be? It'd be 70 hundredths, right? Because each column is how many in it? 10. So if it was 7, if we shade it in, let me see if I find one. I don't know why I don't ever have one of these. So it's 1 column, right? 10 of these make up the 100th one, right? Be a flat one. So if I have 7 of these shaded in, I have how many?
70.
I have 70 out of how many?
100.
100, right? How many tenths would I have shaded in? 7, right? I have 7 out of a possible 10. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Any questions? Pretty easy stuff, right? Yes.
I don't have to like, never mind.
Get it?
Yeah. I get it. I just saw something.
All right. All right. Number 1. Max has 248 pennies. How many dollars does Max have? What fraction of a dollar is left over? So go ahead and work on that. How many dollars does Max have? He has 248 pennies. And what fraction does he have left over? You have 3 minutes to work on that. Alright. So, Max has 248 pennies, right? How many dollars does he have first off? Let's talk about how many dollars he has. How many dollars does he have? He has 248 pennies. Adrian? He has 2, right? Because a penny's worth what? If each penny's a cent, right?
Yeah, you need 100 pennies.
So 100 pennies equals what?
$1.
$1. So we have $2, right? How much change do we have?
48 cents. 48 cents.
Raise your hands, please. I don't know why we think we can blurt it out now. Ryan?
48 cents.
We have 48 cents. Now, what do they want that cents to be written in as, though? What is it supposed to be in? What form? What kind of form, Caden? A fraction. How can we write 48 cents as a fraction? Nolan?
48 over 100.
48 over 100. Where did you get the 100 at?
For the 100 cents needed to make $1.
Yes. Our whole in this case is what? 100, right? We need 100 to make $1. So we have 2 and 48 hundredths of $1. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Did you just see how decimals and the fractions are the same thing? So 2.48 equals 2 and 48 over 100.
Okay.
They're the same thing.
Now
Huh? You get it? Fractions and decimals are the same thing. They're just two different ways to write the numbers, the part of a whole. Does that make sense? So $2, yes.
So would it actually be 248 over 100, or?
You could put, but that's improper, right?
Yeah.
You could put 248 over 100. Would that be a fraction for this? Yeah, definitely, because 100 is the whole. You can pull 2 holes out and then still have 48 left over, right? Yes.
If it's improper, do you have to make it proper?
Make it a mixed number. I would suggest doing it. Because they asked how many whole dollars does he have, so the 2 is how many whole dollars, and how much, what a fraction of a dollar is left over. 48 or 40 over 100, right? Does that make sense? Because they asked for that. Any questions on what we just did there? It's pretty simple, isn't it? Fraction decimal pretty simple. Number one, looking back. Write the dollar and fraction of a dollar Max has a mixed number. So what would the mixed number be for this fraction? What would the mixed number be for how much he has? Michael?
248 over.
That's improper. They want it as a mixed number. Adrian? 2 and 4800s, right? Makes sense? That's the mixed number, 2 and 4800s. Number 2, looking ahead. Fractions with denominators 10 and 100 can be written as decimals. If it has a 10 or 100 as a denominator, they're really easy to write as decimal. Alright? The model shows the fraction 48 hundredths. Alright? So there's 48 blocks shaded out of 100, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can pull 4 tenths out of there, right?
And then there's 8 left over.
And there's 8 left, and then 8 hundredths. We have 4 tenths, 8 hundredths. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So 48 hundredths is really what? How many tenths?
4.
They're really 4, and how many hundredths?
8.
8. Do you remember when we talked about place value, beginning of the year, place value of decimals?
Yeah.
What's the first place value to the right of the decimal? What do we call that? No, not the ones, opposite way.
The hundreds.
Not the hundredths, not thousands, before comes before the hundredths. Tenths, right?
Yeah.
So remember when we talked about this? We have our ones. That's a terrible color for what we're trying to do here. Our ones right here, right? Here's the decimal point.
And then the 10.
The tenths, the hundredths, huh? It might be. Thousandths, remember? When we talked about that?
Yeah.
The tenths are the first one to the right of the decimal point. Then the hundreds and the thousands. Now look at this. We have tenths, hundredths. What goes in the tenths place? The 4. How many hundredths are there?
8.
8 goes in the hundredths place. So this is a decimal point is really 4 in the tenths, 8 in the hundredths. And then in turn, when we write it as a mixed number, we have, okay, write the mixed number. 2 and 48 hundredths is the decimal point in the place value before. What's in the ones place here?
The 2.
2. What did we just say was in the tenths place? 4. What's in the hundredths?
8.
See how we filled that out?
Mm-hmm.
See how decimals come together with fractions?
Yeah.
If we were to draw it, we could pull 8 tenth bars out, and we'd have 8 hundredths cubes left, right? So, fill in the blank to tell us how we read the decimal. What's the whole number?
The whole number is
2. The decimal point, when we see a decimal point, guess what we say? And. So you read the decimal point as and. Alright? What's the tenths place?
4.
What's in the hundredths place?
8.
So, okay, here's how we read. Actually, that's wrong. They want you to put the 48 right here. They want it to be 48. And what's the last place value? What is the place value called that the last number is in?
100?
The hundredths, right? You put hundredths. Right there. 2 and this is how we read it. 2 and 48 hundredths. Read that aloud again. Read it with me. 2 and 48 hundredths. Read it with me again. 2 and 48 hundredths. One more time. 2 and 48 hundredths. When you see this number right here, that is not, I repeat, that is not, one more time, that is not, no, hang on, that is not 2.48.
That is not 2.48.
That is not 2.48.
That is not 2.48.
You want, stop, don't have to repeat me, I was repeating myself. That's not 2.48. You know what that number is? 2 and 48 hundredths. We read it just like this. We read the whole number. 2. Decimal point is and. Wherever there's a decimal point, you say and. And then we say the actual rest of the number, 48. What's the last place value we're in? Hundredths. That is 2 and 48 hundredths. 2 and 48 hundredths, 2 and 48 hundredths, 2 and 48 hundredths. That is not 2.48. Alright? When you get older, as you get older, when you have me, because I teach a lot of decimal points next year and the rest of this year, you say 2.48, guess what you're doing?
Referral?
Not a referral, you're getting marked wrong. So much for, I had to find the song. I wrote it, literally there is a song that the 5th graders have to sing if they get it wrong.
This is
So maybe I'll have one of the 5th graders record their song because I have a couple that like to say it all the time. They have to sing the song up in front of the class every time. That is not 2.48. That is 2 and 48 hundredths. Yes, Adrian. Okay, we're getting there. Does that make sense? How we read those?
Yeah.
You read the whole number, the decimal point becomes the word and you say the last number that's smaller than 1, and you say the place value at the end. 2 and 48 hundredths. Now, if I had this, just 2 and 4 tenths. Because what's the last place value? The tenths place, right? 2 and 4 tenths. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And that's how you read these things. Any questions?
No.
Good. Not too difficult, is it? Good. Explain how thinking about money can help you understand decimals. Amelia?
Like if it's 248, you just see how much times you see how much times, like, I don't know how to explain it.
How can knowing about money help you with decimal points, Nolan?
Like the cents, you need a certain amount of them. They're like fractions, you need a certain amount of them to get a whole of the
Yeah, the whole is what? The whole is $1, right? The whole is $1, right? And what is the decimal point? It's a what? It's the
10.
no. What is it in money?
100. No.
It's cents, right? Does that make sense? The whole is $1. The whole on a decimal point or a decimal is $1. The decimal number itself, that's a cents. And it's the same concept. You need 100 cents to make $1, right? Same idea. You need 10. With that being said, I want you working on page 357 and 358 on your own. You can skip the grid.
500.
537 and 530 on your own. Virtual kids, that's what you're working on as well. You can skip the grid. The grid. We will see you guys tomorrow.
Bye, guys.